The unlikely rescue, the battlefield, was a nightmare full of smoke, fire, and the screams of soldiers from both sides. The ground shook as giant machines rolled across the land, crushing everything in their path. Bright energy beams flashed through. The sky, human and alien forces were locked in a war that seemed endless. Nobody expected mercy here. There was only survival. Alex was just a young soldier from Earth, fighting for his unit, trying to stay alive one more day. He was not a hero, just a man with a heavy pack, a tired face, and eyes that had seen too much death. He moved carefully through the ruins, avoiding the main roads where snipers watched every movement. His mission today was simple: find supplies, avoid enemy patrols, and get back before nightfall. But war does not care about simple plans. As Alex picked his way through a burned-out village, he heard a faint sound, a moan, almost too weak to notice. He froze, hiding behind a fallen wall, his pulse racing. Was it a wounded soldier? A trap? He listened again. There it was, a soft cry, the kind that only someone close to death could make. Against his training, Alex moved towards the sound. Stepping carefully over shattered glass and scorched metal, he found her lying in the shadow of a broken building, half buried under debris. She was not human. Her skin shimmered with a faint blue light, marked by strange patterns like living tattoos. Her silver hair was matted with blood, and her left leg twisted at an angle that looked painfully wrong. She wore a torn royal uniform, a badge still glowing weakly on her chest. Even in her pain, she looked proud, her jaw set, her eyes full of fire. Alex knew who she was instantly. This was Lyra, the alien queen. Every human soldier had seen her image in the mission briefings. She was the enemy leader, powerful, feared, and hunted. Capturing her alive could end the war. But here she was, broken and alone, and her own people had abandoned her. Alex hesitated. Every instinct screamed at him to leave. If he tried to help her, both sides would call him a traitor. If anyone saw him, he'd be shot on sight. But as he looked at her, something inside him changed. He saw not a monster, but a person, scared, hurt, and so very tired. Lyra's eyes flickered open. For a second, she stared at him with pure hatred, expecting him to finish her off. But when Alex did not raise his weapon, her expression changed to surprise, then confusion. "You..." "Human," she whispered, her voice full of pain. "Why are you here?" Alex looked around quickly. "I could ask you the same thing." "Where's your squad?" She winced. "Gone, left me behind, protocol." Alex frowned. He could hear distant gunfire. "They didn't have much time." "I can't leave you here," Alex said, more to himself than to her. "If the patrols find you first, you're dead." Lyra tried to push herself up but failed, collapsing back in agony. "Then go. You owe me nothing." Alex's training shouted at him to run, to save himself, to report her location. But he couldn't. He saw the blood soaking her side, the way her hands shook. She was dying. And in that moment, Alex made a decision that would change everything. Without another word, Alex knelt down, lifted her carefully from the ground, and shifted her onto his back. She was lighter than he expected, but every movement made her gasp in pain. He wrapped his jacket around her, trying to keep her warm. As he stood, he felt her shiver against him, not from fear, but from shock. "Hold on," he whispered. "We're getting out of here." The next hours were a test of will. Alex moved quickly but quietly, avoiding the main paths. He dodged patrols, ducked behind ruins, and froze whenever he heard voices nearby. The queen tried to stay awake, but sometimes she faded out, her head slumping against his shoulder. He kept talking to her, trying to keep her conscious. "Don't close your eyes," he said gently. "Tell me about your world." She managed a weak laugh. "You want stories, human?" "Anything to keep you talking," he replied, glancing over his shoulder. She spoke in short, broken sentences about the crystal forests of her home, about her people's traditions, about a sky with two suns. Her words were full of longing and loss. Alex listened, and for the first time, he wondered if all the things he'd been told about the aliens were true. Here she was, their queen, yet now she was just another lost soul in the madness of war. As the sun began to set, the air grew cold. They crossed a river where the water stung Alex's feet like ice. On the far side, Alex found an abandoned farmhouse, its walls barely standing. He carried the queen inside, laid her gently on a pile of old blankets, and searched his bag. For supplies, he cleaned her wounds as best he could, using a small medical kit. Lyra did not complain, but her hands clenched the blanket tightly every time he touched the broken leg. "You should have left me," she said, her voice barely more than a whisper. "I couldn't," Alex replied simply. She stared at him, eyes full of questions she did not ask. Night fell, and outside, the sounds of war faded. Alex sat beside the queen, his back to the wall, rifle in his lap. He knew he had risked everything. If either side found them, he was as good as dead. But in that silent moment, as the queen drifted into a fitful sleep, Alex realized he had done the only thing that felt right. He did not know what tomorrow would bring. He did not know if they would make it out alive. But tonight, the enemy queen was safe in his care, and for now, that was enough. Somewhere, deep in the darkness, a new story had just begun. The first light of morning crept into the ruined farmhouse. Inside, Alex listened to the distant sounds of battle explosions, the crackle of gunfire, alien drones whirring above the trees. The world outside was still deadly, and danger was everywhere. But inside, it was silent except for the soft, uneasy breathing of the alien queen. Lyra. Alex was exhausted. He had not slept all night, keeping watch in case patrols came searching. Every sound outside made him grip his rifle tighter. When the queen stirred at last, she looked pale, but her eyes were sharper than before. "You did not run," Lyra said. Quietly. Alex shook his head. "Would you have?" Lyra was silent for a long moment. "No," she admitted. "But I am not supposed to trust a human." He shrugged, then looked away. "I'm not supposed to trust you either." He checked her. "Wounds again." She winced but said nothing as he tied a new bandage around her leg. He had done what he could, but she still looked weak. If they stayed here, both would die her from her injuries, him from hunger or enemy soldiers. They had to move. "We have to go," Alex said finally. "If we wait any longer, they'll find us." Lyra nodded. She tried to stand, but her leg collapsed under her weight. She gritted her teeth, refusing to cry out. Alex put her arm around his shoulders, and once again, he lifted her. This time, she held on tighter. They left the farmhouse at dawn, moving slowly across fields of blackened earth. Every step was a struggle. Alex carried her as far as he could, then set her down for short rests. Lyra wanted to help, but her leg was useless. Sometimes, Alex would find a broken stick for her to use as a crutch, but even then, she leaned on him heavily. The land around them was scarred by war. Burned trees reached to the sky like skeletons. Craters pitted the ground. The stench of smoke and metal filled the air. In the distance, Alex could see alien ships hovering like predators, scanning for survivors. He kept to the shadows, hiding behind rocks and old vehicles. He avoided the main roads, knowing patrols could appear at any moment. As the sun climbed higher, the day grew hot. Alex shared his last bit of water with Lyra, letting her drink first. She was surprised by this act of kindness. "Why do you risk so much?" she asked, her voice soft and full of wonder. Alex looked at her, unsure how to answer. "Maybe because I can't let someone die when I can help." She stared at him, searching his face for a lie, but found only honesty. They walked for miles, each step taking them deeper into enemy land. Sometimes they saw movement figures in the distance. Human soldiers searching for the Queen, or alien scouts flying overhead. Each time, Alex found a place to hide: a ditch, a pile of rubble, even an old metal pipe large enough to crawl inside. They waited, hearts pounding, afraid to breathe. Once, as they hid beneath the roots of a fallen tree, Lyra whispered, "If we are caught, they will kill you first." Alex smiled, though it was a tired smile. "Maybe, but I won't let them take you." She watched him closely. "You are not like the others." He shrugged again. "Neither are you." As the hours passed, the journey became harder. Lyra was growing weaker. Alex's arms ached from carrying her. His feet were blistered and bleeding inside his boots. Hunger gnawed at him. Still, he kept moving, never letting her fall behind. At one point, they came to a small stream. Alex lowered Lyra gently to the ground and knelt by the water, cupping it in his hands and bringing it to her lips. She drank greedily, some of the strength returning to her eyes. "Thank you," she whispered. Alex just nodded, looking out over the silent field. He wondered if he would ever see home again. But when he looked back at Lyra, something in her expression gave him hope. They moved on. At noon, the heat was nearly unbearable. Alex could go no farther, so they hid in the shade of an old, burned-out tank. Lyra leaned against him, eyes closed. He tried to rest, but fear kept him alert. Every minute, he listened for footsteps, for voices, for the sound of engines. Suddenly, in the distance, Alex heard shouting. Human voices, angry, searching. They were close. "Stay quiet," he whispered, pulling Lyra close and ducking low. He peered through a crack in the metal, watching as a patrol of 3 soldiers passed by. They were carrying rifles and talking about the bounty for the enemy queen, how much money they would get if they found her. Alex's heart pounded in his chest. He held his breath as they passed, praying they would not look inside. The patrol moved on. Only then did Alex let out a shaky breath. Lyra opened her eyes. "They would kill you too," she said softly. Alex nodded. "I know." They waited until the patrol was gone, then moved on. Every shadow felt dangerous. Every sound made Alex's nerves tighten. But they pressed forward, step by painful step. Late in the day, storm clouds gathered above. Thunder rumbled, and soon rain poured from the sky, soaking them both. Alex wrapped Lyra tighter in his jacket, shielding her from the worst of the cold. The mud made the walk even harder, but the rain also covered their tracks, making it harder for patrols to follow. As evening approached, they reached the edge of a forest. The trees were blackened and twisted, but they offered shelter from the rain. Alex made a small bed of leaves and helped Lyra settle down. She looked at him, exhaustion and gratitude in her eyes. "You are strange, human," she said, her voice weak but sincere. "You save me, even when you do not have to." "Why?" Alex looked up at the dark sky. "I don't know. Maybe I'm just tired of all this hate. Maybe I want to believe things can change." She smiled for the first time, a small sad smile. As darkness fell, Alex stayed awake, listening for danger. Lyra drifted into uneasy sleep, her head resting against his shoulder. Outside, the storm raged on, but for a moment, the world felt a little less cruel. The long walk through enemy land was not over. Danger still waited in the shadows. But now, 2 enemies were learning to trust, step by painful step, heart by lonely heart. And somewhere in the distance, fate was watching. Their story was far from finished. The night was dark and cold. Alex barely slept, always listening for footsteps or drones. Sometimes, a strange cry echoed from the burned forest, maybe an animal, maybe something worse. The Queen Lyra shivered in her sleep. Her breathing was heavy, and her skin looked paler than ever. At dawn, Alex checked her wounds again. The bandages were dirty, and the cut on her side was red and swollen. He knew this meant infection. Lyra woke with a gasp as he pressed gently around the wound. It Hurts, she whispered. I know. But we have to clean it, or you will get sicker, Alex replied softly. He did not have real medicine, only a tiny first aid kit with old supplies. He washed her side with water from the stream, apologizing every time she winced. Lyra tried to stay strong, biting her lip to stop from crying out. In those moments, she looked less like a queen and more like any other hurt person Alex had met during the war. When he finished, he looked at her leg. It was badly bruised and swollen, but not broken in two. You're lucky, he said. But you need rest, not marching through this mess. Lyra gave him a hard look. You think I like being carried? Her pride showed. Even now, Alex smiled for the first time in days. Honestly, no, but I don't mind. A sound broke their moment, loud and metallic, from the forest. Alex's body went cold. He quickly helped Lyra up and moved deeper into the trees, staying low and silent. They crept through twisted branches and black mud, their hearts racing. Suddenly, Lyra stopped and put a hand on Alex's arm. Wait, she whispered, pointing ahead. Alex looked and saw something glinting between two rocks. Wires almost invisible ran across the ground. Mines, Lyra said quietly. My people put them here. Alex felt sweat on his forehead. If he had taken one more step, he would have blown them both up. How do we get around? I can. Feel the power in the ground, Lyra said. Let me guide you. She pointed to the safest places, her hand trembling from pain. Slowly, Alex carried her across the deadly path, stepping only where she told him. Every step was terrifying. One mistake would mean instant death. Halfway through, Alex's foot slipped on wet leaves. He steadied himself, breath held, and looked at Lyra. She squeezed his hand, and together, they made it to the other side. When they reached safety, Alex set her down gently. He was shaking. You saved us, he said. She just nodded, trying to hide how scared she really was. They rested for a while, hidden behind a rock. Alex gave Lyra the last piece of bread from his bag. She ate slowly, her eyes never leaving him. Why? Do you keep helping me? She asked again. Alex thought for a moment. I guess because you're not just a queen. You're a person, and you're suffering. I can't just walk away. Lyra was quiet. Where I come from, kindness is a sign of weakness. He shook his head. Not here, not for me. She looked at him, confused. You're different from what I was taught. Alex smiled softly. So are you. As they talked, the bond between them grew stronger. For the first time, Lyra let her guard down. She told Alex about her childhood on the crystal fields of her homeworld, about her training as queen, and the pressure to be perfect. Alex shared stories of his family on Earth, his mother, who always made soup when he was sick, his little brother who loved space stories. They laughed quietly, forgetting the war, even for a few minutes, but the danger was not gone. From the distance, they heard gunshots closer now. Human and alien patrols both searched these woods. Alex helped Lyra up, and they moved again, deeper into the forest. Suddenly, Lyra stumbled and fell, crying out in pain. Alex knelt beside her, panic in his eyes. Her fever was worse, and she was shaking. We need shelter. Now, he said, voice urgent. He looked around and spotted a fallen tree with a hollow space beneath it. It was small, but just big enough for them to crawl inside. Alex helped Lyra in first, then squeezed in beside her. He covered the opening with branches, making it almost invisible. Inside, the space was cramped and smelled of damp earth. Alex listened as boots and voices passed. Nearby, he held his breath, praying they would not be found. Lyra closed her eyes, her face pale with pain. When the danger passed, Alex reached into his pack. He only had one painkiller left, a tiny red pill. Without a word, he gave it to Lyra with some water. She swallowed it, then rested her head on his shoulder. "I trust you, human," she whispered, her voice weak but full of meaning. Alex felt her words deep in his heart. He had risked his life for her, and now she was risking hers by trusting him. They were no longer just enemies. Something new had begun between them. The rain returned as night fell. They huddled close together for warmth. Alex wrapped his arms around Lyra, feeling her shiver fade as she finally slept. He stayed awake, listening to the storm, thinking about what would happen next. He knew they couldn't hide forever. Patrols were everywhere, and Lyra's condition was getting worse. But Alex was determined. He would not let her die, not after everything they had been through. In that tiny, hidden place beneath the old tree, two enemies became allies. The forest outside was full of traps and hunters, but inside, for a little while, they found peace and trust. Alex knew their journey was far from over. Tomorrow they would need all their courage to survive. But tonight, at least they had each other. Somewhere in the storm, hope was born. Morning came quietly, but the peace was only an illusion. The sky was gray and heavy with clouds, and the forest felt more dangerous than ever. Alex woke first. His body ached from the cold ground and the long, difficult journey. For a moment, he watched the alien queen Lyra sleeping beside him under the fallen tree, her breathing shallow but steady. She looked fragile and powerful at the same time, a strange mix that made Alex feel protective. He carefully slipped out from the hollow, checking for danger before waking Lyra. She opened her eyes slowly, blinking away the pain and fever. Alex offered her water, and she accepted with a weak smile. "We have to keep moving," he said softly. "It's not safe here." Lyra nodded, trying to sit up. She bit back a groan as pain shot through her wounded leg. Alex helped her, and together they crawled out into the cold morning air. They hadn't walked far before they heard the sound of voices, too many, too close. Alex's heart pounded as he pulled Lyra behind a thick bush, keeping low. Through the leaves, he saw a group of human soldiers, weapons ready, searching the forest. "They're looking for you," Alex whispered. Lyra's expression turned cold. "They're looking for us." "You're a traitor now, Alex." He nodded grimly. "Yeah, I know." The soldiers stopped suddenly. One pointed to footprints in the mud. Alex recognized his own boot marks and Lyra's dragging steps. The soldiers followed the trail, eyes sharp, radios crackling with orders. Alex squeezed Lyra's hand. "We have to go, now." He helped her up, and they moved as quietly as possible, deeper into the trees. Every branch that snapped beneath their feet sounded like an alarm. But Alex kept moving, guiding Lyra around thick roots and fallen logs, always listening for the soldiers behind them. Suddenly, Lyra tugged Alex's sleeve. "Stop, there's a patrol ahead." Alex froze. Through the trees, he saw a different group, alien warriors, their armor shining even in the gloom. Lyra recognized them at once. "They're mine. My own guards." For a second, hope flashed in her eyes, but then she saw the look on their faces, hard, angry, full of betrayal. "They're not here to rescue me," she whispered, voice trembling. "They want to erase the shame of a wounded queen left behind." Alex's eyes widened. "They'll kill you?" She nodded. "And you too." No witnesses. Now both sides hunted them, Alex's old friends and Lyra's own people. The forest was a cage, and every path was watched. Alex thought quickly. "We'll cut across the old riverbed. It's risky, but maybe they won't expect it." Lyra agreed, trusting him now with her life. The way was rough, filled with slippery stones and cold water. Alex carried Lyra across most of it, wincing as his boots filled with icy mud. The rain from last night made everything harder, and Lyra's strength faded with each step. On the far bank, Alex paused, listening. The human soldiers and alien warriors were getting closer. Voices echoed through the woods. Orders were shouted. It would not be long before they were found. Suddenly, a gunshot rang out. Alex ducked, pulling Lyra down behind a boulder. A bullet struck the stone above their heads, spraying chips of rock. Another shot came from the other side, alien energy, sizzling the air. Both sides had spotted them at once. "We're trapped." Lyra gasped. "Not yet," Alex said, searching for any way out. He spotted a narrow gap between two cliffs, partly hidden by fallen trees. "There! Move!" With Lyra clinging to his back, Alex dashed for the gap, bullets and energy beams flying all around. He stumbled over roots, slipping and nearly falling, but never let go of her. Lyra closed her eyes, trusting him completely. They squeezed through the gap, rocks scraping. Their arms. Behind them, the soldiers and warriors clashed, distracted by their own fight. Alex and Lyra crawled deeper into the crevice, away from the gunfire and shouts. Inside, the air was damp and cool. They found a small cave at the end, a place to rest, at least for a moment. Alex set Lyra down gently. She was pale and breathing hard, sweat beading on her brow. He tore open a ration bar, breaking it in half and offering her a piece. "Eat. You need your strength." Lyra took it, hands shaking. "You saved me again." Alex smiled wearily. "You saved me first back at the mines. We're even." For a while, they sat in silence, listening as the battle outside moved farther away. Alex dressed Lyra's wounds as best he could, cleaning the cut with water and using the last bandage. "Why do you keep risking your life?" Lyra asked quietly. "Even now, when your own people want you dead?" Alex thought for a long time. "I don't know. I just can't let you die. It doesn't feel right." She reached for his hand, squeezing it gently. "You are the only one who has seen me as more than a queen or an enemy. I won't forget that." Suddenly, the radio in Alex's pack crackled to life. A familiar voice came through, the voice of his old commander, desperate and angry. "All units, the human traitor is with the enemy queen. They are armed and dangerous. Orders are shoot on sight." Alex switched it off, feeling cold. Lyra met his eyes, understanding the danger. "There's no going back," she said softly. "No," Alex agreed. "But maybe there's a way forward." Night was falling again, the cave growing darker. Outside, both armies still searched, but for now, Alex and Lyra had each other, and a bond stronger than orders or hatred. They huddled together, listening to the distant sounds of war. In the darkness, Alex promised himself he would protect Lyra, no matter the cost. The world wanted them dead, but together, maybe, just maybe, they could survive. The cave was cold and damp, but for Alex and Lyra, it felt like a safe island in the middle of a raging sea. For the first time in days, the sounds of pursuit faded away, replaced by the quiet drip of water and their own breathing. Alex sat close to the entrance, watching for any movement outside, while Lyra leaned against the cave wall, pale and exhausted. Alex felt guilty. Every time he looked at Lyra's wounded leg, he wondered if he could have done more. Her fever had not broken, and her strength was fading fast. He needed to help her, but he was out of medicine and food. All he had left was hope. He knelt by Lyra's side and spoke softly. "How are you feeling?" She tried to smile. "Like I was trampled by a stampede and then shot for good measure." Her humor was weak, but Alex smiled anyway. He looked at her leg. The bandage was dirty and stained red. "This has to be cleaned. It's going to hurt." Lyra nodded bravely. "Do what you must, human. I trust you." Alex worked carefully, using clean water from the cave's pool to wash the wound. Lyra bit down on a piece of cloth to keep from crying out. When he finished, she was shivering but alive. He wrapped his jacket around her, sharing what little warmth he had left. "Thank you, Alex," she whispered. "You could have left me so many times. Why do you stay?" Alex hesitated. He looked at the floor, thinking of all the violence, all the pain. Because I don't want to be the kind of man this war wants me to be. I can't just walk away from someone who needs me. Not anymore. Lyra listened, her eyes full of gratitude and something softer, almost like hope. They stayed in the cave as the day passed. Once, Alex heard footsteps outside. He grabbed his rifle, heart pounding, and motioned for Lyra to stay silent. The footsteps faded, maybe an animal, maybe a lost soldier. Either way, they were not discovered. As evening approached, hunger gnawed at them both. Alex searched the cave for anything edible. He found some wild roots and old nuts, just enough to share. He handed half to Lyra, who accepted without pride. I never thought I'd share a meal with a human, she said softly. I never thought I'd save an alien queen, Alex replied. They both smiled, the tension easing for a moment. Darkness fell, and the cave grew colder. Lyra's shivering worsened. Alex remembered stories his mother used to tell, stories about lost travelers sharing body heat to survive cold nights. Without another word, he moved closer to Lyra and wrapped his arms around her. She was startled at first, but then she relaxed into his embrace. Is this normal for humans? She asked, half-joking. Alex smiled, feeling his own cheeks flush. In a way, it keeps you warm. Lyra rested her head on his shoulder, closing her eyes. For a long time, they sat like that, listening to each other's heartbeat. Outside, the world was cold and cruel, but in this secret shelter, they found a small piece of peace. As Lyra drifted into sleep, she spoke softly. Alex, if I do not survive, promise me something. He squeezed her hand gently. Don't say that. But Lyra continued, her voice serious. Promise me you will find your way home. Promise you will not lose yourself to hate. Alex felt tears sting his eyes. He nodded. I promise. But I'm not giving up on you, Lyra. Not now. She smiled, finally letting herself rest out. Late in the night, Lyra woke suddenly, shaking with fever. Alex panicked for a moment, fearing the worst. He remembered something he had seen in a field medic's manual. Sometimes, pain and infection could be fought with heat and pressure. He soaked a piece of cloth in the cold cave water, pressing it gently to Lyra's forehead and neck. Slowly her shivering eased. He held her close, whispering words of comfort. He barely believed himself. Hours passed. Dawnlight crept into the cave, cold and pale. Lyra was still alive, her breathing steadier now. She opened her eyes, and for the first time in days, Alex saw a spark of strength return. You stayed awake all night, she said quietly. Alex nodded. Couldn't let anything happen to you, she smiled. Thank you, Alex, you saved me again. He shrugged, trying to hide his relief. We're not out of trouble yet. As the sun rose, Alex listened carefully at the mouth of the cave. He heard nothing, no voices, no weapons, no drones. It was as if, for this one morning, the war had forgotten about them. Lyra sat up slowly, testing her leg. It was still painful, but the swelling had gone down. She looked at Alex with gratitude and respect. We should move soon, she said. Your people and mine will not give up the search. Alex agreed. We'll need a plan. Maybe we can reach the old communications tower, send a message for help. Lyra interrupted. Not to my people. Not yet. They would destroy us both, just to hide their shame. Alex nodded grimly. Then we'll do it together. We'll find a way. For a moment, they sat in silence. Then, Lyra reached out and took Alex's hand. Whatever happens next, I want you to know I am not your enemy anymore. Alex squeezed her hand back. You never were. A sudden noise outside made them both tense. Alex grabbed his rifle, heart pounding. But after a moment, he saw it was only a wild animal, small, harmless, searching for food. He let out a sigh of relief that the danger was not gone, but in this secret shelter, Alex and Lyra had survived one more night. Their trust was stronger now, and so was the strange Growing bond between them, they were ready to face whatever came next. Together. Outside, the sun climbed higher, promising another day of struggle. But for now, hope was alive, burning quietly in the darkness of the cave. The new day brought no rest, only new danger. Alex and Lyra knew they could not hide forever. The world outside the cave was waking up, and both armies were hunting harder than ever. It was time to move again. Alex helped Lyra to her feet. Her leg was still weak, but the fever had faded, and her eyes held determination. Together, they left the cave behind and made their way through the thick forest, avoiding every open space. Alex's nerves were stretched thin, his senses sharp. Lyra leaned on him, but she walked as much as she could, refusing to slow them. Down. After hours of careful travel, they reached the edge of the forest. Before them lay a battered landscape, fields burned by war, craters filled with water, broken vehicles rusting in the mud. In the distance, Alex spotted an old watchtower, half collapsed but still standing. He pointed toward it. If we reach that tower, we can see everything. Maybe find a safe path out. Lyra nodded, though she knew it was risky. We must hurry. Patrols will come soon. They moved quickly, every step watched. Suddenly, a drone buzzed overhead, its camera lens searching the ground. Alex froze, pulling Lyra down into a ditch. They lay motionless as the drone passed, the hum fading into the distance. Too close. Lyra whispered. Alex nodded, heart pounding. We need to move faster. As they approached the tower, voices echoed behind them, human soldiers. Alex recognized one of them. It was his old commander, the man he had once followed into battle. Now that man's voice was filled with anger and orders to kill. There, by the tower. Someone shouted. Alex and Lyra broke into a run, stumbling through the mud. Energy blasts and bullets tore through the air. Alex fired back once, but he knew they couldn't win a firefight. They reached the base of the tower and slipped inside. The air was thick with dust, and the memory of battles past. We'll hold them here, Alex said, determination in his voice. Lyra nodded, pulling herself upright. I'll do my part. The enemy surrounded the tower, humans on one side, Lyra's own royal guards on the other. Trapped between two armies, Alex and Lyra had nowhere to go. Alex checked his rifle. Only a few rounds left. He looked at Lyra. If you want to surrender, if you think they'll spare you, she shook her head fiercely. No, I will not let them kill you for saving me. We fight together. A loudspeaker crackled to life outside. Alex's commander called out, his voice cold. Come out, Alex. Bring the alien queen, and we'll end this quickly. Lyra's people shouted too. Queen Lyra, surrender yourself. End this shame. But neither Alex nor Lyra moved. Instead, they prepared for the fight of their lives. Alex blocked the doors with old metal beams and broken crates. Lyra, though weak, found an old alien staff among the ruins, her people's technology still faintly glowing. The attack came suddenly. Soldiers rushed the entrance, firing blindly. Alex shot back, taking cover behind a wall. Lyra used her staff, releasing a wave of energy that knocked attackers to the ground. The tower shook as explosions rattled its base. Debris rained down, and the noise was deafening. For a moment, it seemed hopeless. The enemy kept coming, yelling insults and threats. Alex ran out of bullets. Lyra's energy was fading fast. Sweat poured down Alex's face, his arms shaking. From exhaustion. Then, Lyra stood tall, summoning the last of her strength. She called out in her own language, her voice ringing through the chaos. The enemy guards hesitated, hearing their queen's true power. Even the human soldiers paused. Unsure. Enough, Lyra shouted. No more killing. No more shame. I am alive because of this human. He risked everything to save me. If you want to destroy me, you will have to destroy him too. There was silence. For a moment, nobody moved. Alex's commander stepped forward, weapon raised. "You betrayed." "U.S., Alex. Why?" Alex faced him, standing firm beside Lyra. "Because she's not just an enemy, she's a life. I couldn't let her die. I won't let you kill her now." A tense standoff followed. Guns pointed at Alex and Lyra. The royal guards hesitated, not wanting to kill their queen. The human soldiers saw the determination in Alex's eyes. Finally, someone lowered their weapon, a royal guard, then another. The commander, angry and lost, shouted, "You fools! They're tricking you." But more soldiers, both alien and human, were lowering their guns, uncertainty spreading through their ranks, not seeing a chance. Lyra limped forward, holding out her hand. "Let us choose peace here now. We can end this. We do not have to be enemies forever." Alex joined her, standing by her side. Their courage shook the crowd. A few angry soldiers fired in the air, but the violence died down. The crowd parted, and for the first time, Alex and Lyra stepped out together alive. Hand in hand, the final stand was not a battle of weapons, but of hearts. Together, they had changed something deeper than war. As the two sides watched, stunned and silent, Alex and Lyra took the first steps toward peace. They did not know what would happen next. Maybe more danger waited, or more betrayal. But for now, they had survived, and together, they had done the impossible. As the sun broke through the clouds, shining on the battered watchtower and the hopeful faces below, Alex squeezed Lyra's hand. He knew their story was not over. But whatever came next, they would face it side by side. The world felt silent after the battle. For a long moment, no one moved. Human soldiers and alien guards alike stood in the ruins of war, their weapons lowered, unsure what to do next. In the center of it all stood Alex and Lyra, hand in hand, breathing hard but alive. Alex looked at Lyra, her silver hair tangled and her uniform stained with blood and dirt. She was tired and wounded, but she stood tall and proud, her eyes full of fire and hope. Alex had never seen anyone so strong. Lyra turned to face her people, her royal guards, her loyal warriors, even the ones who had come to kill her. She spoke in her own language, her voice steady and commanding. "This human saved my life not once, but many times. He carried me through fire and storm, risked death when it would have been easier to leave me behind. He showed mercy when he had every reason to hate. I owe him my life, and I am not ashamed." Some of the guards looked away, ashamed of their orders to erase the queen's shame. Others stared at Alex with new respect, realizing this human had done what no soldier, no assassin, no diplomat ever could. He had changed the heart of their queen. Lyra continued, this time in simple English for Alex and the human soldiers. "Alex is no traitor. He is my protector. And more, I choose him not as a hostage, not as a servant, but as my mate." A shocked gasp rippled through both armies. The old commander, who had hunted Alex, shouted in protest, "This is madness. He's our enemy." But Lyra lifted her chin. "Maybe it is madness to some, but I will not lead a people ruled by hate. I will not return to a throne built on fear. If I must choose between power and peace, I choose peace. And if I must choose between duty and love, I choose love." Alex's heart beat fast. He squeezed Lyra's hand, barely believing what he was hearing. All around them, soldiers lowered their weapons, uncertainty turning to curiosity, then hope. A young alien guard stepped forward, kneeling before Lyra. "If the queen chooses peace, then I will follow her." One by one, more guards joined him, dropping to their knees. Soon, the field was dotted with kneeling soldiers, some alien, some human, all moved by Lyra's bravery. Alex's old commander was left standing, angry and defeated. He threw down his weapon and walked away, unable to fight a battle already. Lost as the sun rose higher, painting the sky gold. Lyra turned to Alex. We have a chance, you and I, maybe our worlds can learn from us. Maybe hate can end here. Alex nodded. I want that too. No more running, no more fighting. Lyra smiled a real, genuine smile. Then let's build something new together. In the days that followed, word spread quickly. The story of the human soldier who saved the enemy queen became legend. For the first time in living memory, there was a real chance for peace. Leaders on both sides were forced to meet, to talk, to reconsider what the war had cost them. Alex and Lyra spent time in both camps meeting with soldiers and civilians. Some distrusted them, but many more were inspired by their courage. The pair spoke honestly about what they'd survived, the traps, the pain, the moments of doubt and trust. Their bond became a symbol for hope. They were no longer seen as traitor and queen, but as survivors who had risked everything for each other. Slowly, old wounds began to heal. Skirmishes stopped. Prisoners were released. People who had lost everything found new hope. It was not easy. There were still enemies, still those who hated change. But Alex and Lyra's story was stronger than fear. One evening, as the twin moons rose over the alien landscape, Alex and Lyra walked alone through a quiet garden, away from the noise of politics and peace talks. Lyra turned to Alex, her voice gentle. Did you ever imagine your life would lead here? Alex laughed softly. Never. I was just trying to do the right thing. I didn't know it would change everything. Lyra leaned close, pressing her forehead to his. You changed me. You showed me that mercy is stronger than pride, and hope is stronger than pain. Alex wrapped his arms around her. And you showed me that love can cross any distance, even the stars. For a while, they stood together, letting the quiet settle between them. They did not know what the future would bring. There would be hard days, new struggles, and many doubters. But they had each other. They had proved that trust could grow even in the darkest places. That kindness could heal wounds deeper than any sword. As dawn broke on a new day, Alex and Lyra faced the horizon side by side, not as enemies, not even just as lovers, but as partners who would build a new world together. The war was over. A new story had begun.